Scanning for audio.
Morning and welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, talking about episode 3 of The War Between the Land and the Sea, broadcast on Sunday. Now, obviously I've been doing these as podcasts where you go, each individual episode deserves its own little review. And I thought, the BBC should be showing episode 1 on 1 week, episode 2 and the next week and so on. However, I may have been wrong. We'll talk about that in a second. Today, I start a new job. Exciting. So obviously I've got into work early, and instead of going in work early, I thought I'd have a quick chat with you about this episode, because you know what? You've been with me since, 2006? So well, you've still got Pete McTighe writing this one. There's a nice mention of Captain Yates, although I'm pretty sure his relation was in the Air Force, but that's fine, that's not important. Oh, and of course a big shout out to anyone who's making a Gallifrey ribbon that says, "I don't want to be soup." Okay. Things of note in this episode are a new mission logo badge, which is like a circle with an offset another circle in it, so that's like the globe, but viewed from Pacific, so it would be kind of liquidy thing. So is that UNIT's new logo, or is that the logo for this new project, this H2O thing? This episode, and this is what I'm explaining about the fact that I'm thinking that I may have been wrong, could really have been retitled, "Are We There Yet?" Now, I've not seen episode 4. I'm making a point of watching one episode, recording a podcast, and then watching the next one. So I might be talking complete nonsense and say things that don't apply or indeed aren't actually important for episode 4, and nobody's seen episode 5 yet. But overall, although this episode's called The Deep, it could really be called Are We There Yet? The rest of my family had a lot of trouble just staying awake through the first 3 quarters, possibly more than that, of the episode. If this was an old Doctor Who story and it was being re-edited for an attention deficit audience, this is where the big cuts would come. A montage would have done. In fact, we actually had a montage that could have been cut down into a smaller montage of training to go underneath the water. Right, we've built a big round thing, you get in the round thing, we bolt you in. I mean, I'm really impressed that the Sea Devils, Homo Aquatica, will be able to have a selection of spanners. Have you any idea the difference in imperial measurements and metric measurements? So Lord only knows what measurement system they're using, because the division of distance between the North Pole and Paris in order to make a meter. Leave it there. That's not important. Is that an urban myth? We need to move on. What I'm saying is, actually no, a metre is 1 mil of water, and that's cube. There's 2 different versions of that story. So I want to call this one Are We There Yet? Because let's face it, the majority of this episode is spent with the 3 split narratives, the thing sinking down, in order to get to the we've built an underwater set that looks just as good as that thing James Cameron did years ago. In fact, better. Yay, it doesn't look great. And you sat there going, yeah, it does look better. Got any plot, mate? And the guy, oh my God, right? It's like, hi, I'm Comedy Bloke. I'm Comedy Bloke who's basically Donald Pleasance from The Incredible Journey, or is it The Impossible Journey? One of those involves dogs walking across continent. The other one involves shrinking people down and is based on an Asimov book. That one. Donald Pleasance is like the bloke who's going, oh no, I'm going to have to escape the capsule thing. It's very similar. And then he turns out to be the traitor. Very similar. Yeah? Because he's got the bomb, which looks like he's been down the Acme shop. It even might as well just have the word bomb written on it and have a twiddly moustache. I'm not overly impressed with all of this. I'm not. Hey, what's in the globe? Looks like it's glows. Oh no, it could be a bomb. It's going to be a bomb. Okay, so here's the thing. Kate has a laptop. It's an Asus. It's an Asus workbook. Nice. Proof that, of course, UNIT runs on Windows or possibly Linux. But then she's not a good guy, because if Kate was one of the good guys, she'd have an Apple. But then again, this is paid by Disney, so that the Apple laptops only ever belonging to the good guys is no longer one of the internet memes or indeed themes or indeed recurring ideas that we used to have. It was like you would always spot somebody being one of the good guys in a program if they had an Apple computer. Kate's got an Asus, a nice Asus with a massive screen. A little bit jealous. Oh, there's one scene when, I don't know if you missed it, bottom right hand side of the big panning shot of the massive let's call it the Parliament of Homo Aquatica. Bottom right hand side, you can almost see the original classic Sea Devil design, which is very nice. Quick question also, where's Kate's kids? Now I know she's got at least one, because they've been mentioned in some UNIT stories on Big Finish, so they are there. They're just not around. So perhaps she's just not got around to introducing their new dad. Also, the father of the child, well, we'll get back to that one. Kate's got a lot of backstory we could really go into. One of the other storylines, of course, is the Cobra meeting. Is that a real Cobra meeting? Is that what it is? Because I always imagine them taking place in that sort of Churchill bunker thing, rather than just in another cabinet room off to one side with a bit of Zoom thing in the corner. Because people just can't get into work that day. It is all going a bit Torchwood with the severance direction of the new plans, and of course the actual Prime Minister has got better things to do, more important things to do with his wife, who's obviously got some sort of cancer treatment going on. It's very Torchwood. That's the sort of thing that would happen. Now, everyone's in this entire country's got in for the water companies. They really have. And I'm pretty sure it's the same around the world. So I'm not surprised that they're coming across as the big villain. And of course, they're going to use acoustic weaponry against them. They're going to use, let's destroy them. Let's use some sort of DNA thing where we've got the information that they gave us from the egg and so on and so on. And you know what? Can I just say there needs to be a word for writers inventing a relationship just to kill off one partner in order to give some sort of narrative emotional arc when no one really cared in the first place. There needs to be a word for that. Is there something in German? I know they've got that whole Schadenfreude thing, so I'm sure there must be a word that you could break things down into. Yes, everything happens in the last few minutes, and you know what? You go, yay, it's all kicking off. It's all going to be, it's finished. And that is the point I was trying to make. You had episode 1, which was alright, and then you had episode 2, which was, to be fair, a little bit dull. You've got episode 3, which is, in all fairness, a little bit dull. But then hopefully, episode 4 could be a bit more exciting. And then we've only got one more left. One more left. So, I'll now go into work. And I'll speak to you all very soon after I've seen episode 4. So until next time, be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.